When it comes to Hollywood legends, Jack Nicholson is in a league of his own. His illustrious career has spanned nearly half a century, and he's still a key player in the film industry, although he shies away from acting these days. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't know his name and isn't familiar with at least some of his idiosyncrasies. He is truly a unique breed, unlike any other, and his remarkable list of film credits is in and of itself a testimony of his greatness. But it's not just his movies that have made him the talk of the town. Nicholson's personal life have also created quite a bit of buzz over the years as well. His romantic and professional relationships have given the media a lot to discuss, and his career, complete with its highs and lows, have kept him relevant and revered. Back in the late 80s, he was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. That shouldn't be surprising either, seeing how he's one of the most talented actors of his generation. Jack Nicholson is far from being one-dimensional. Throughout his career, he shined in many different roles. His versatility is something to marvel at, but many will note he can also be notoriously difficult to work with on set. He calls things as he sees them. He's not afraid to speak his mind and step on toes, and don't expect him to apologize for anything. It's not his style. If you're a fan of Jack Nicholson, you might think you know all there is to know about him, but this video will show you how little you actually know about the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest star. So buckle up and get ready to see Nicholson in a whole new light. The secret Playboy mansion tunnels. Okay, this one will blow your mind. So, Playboy.com staff members released some blueprints that they found a few years ago that show underneath the Playboy mansion is a series of tunnels that were constructed to link Hugh Hefner's world-famous domicile to the homes of Jack Nicholson, James Caan, Kirk Douglas, and Warren Beatty. The blueprints, which show that the construction project was built in the 70s and 80s, were discovered in the Playboy archives by staff writers looking for a juicy story. Polaroids detailing the construction were dated to 1977 and showed a large excavation project underneath the house. Upon further investigation, a large treasure trove of maps and blueprints was discovered in the Playboy Mansion's basement, which clearly show how the tunnel system connected all the bachelors' homes to the iconic estate. Apparently, the tunnels were sealed up sometime around 1989, when Hugh got married to Kimberly Conrad. Unfortunately, Hef himself can't give us any more clues about them since he passed away a couple of years ago. Representatives for his estate refused to comment on the issue as well. Nicholson, Caan, Douglas, and Beatty also have declined to discuss what they know about the tunnels. It's actually peculiar why such an incredible story has been kept under wraps for so many years. Everyone knows Nicholson and company were up to no good back in the day. They were the bad boys of Tinseltown and lived a free and loose life. It's fascinating to think what those tunnels might have been used for. They probably hold a ton of secrets just waiting to be uncovered. Hopefully, someday they'll be opened back up and we'll get the full story. Nicholson is a huge Lakers fan. Jack Nicholson has earned a reputation of not only being one of the greatest contemporary actors, but also one of the biggest LA Lakers fans in the state of California. He's been a season ticket holder since the 70s and has had courtside seats for a quarter of a century. He sits next to the away team's bench. One of his favorite pastimes at a game is to engage in heated arguments with the officials, players, and coaches of the opposing team. He's even marched out onto the court to scream at referees a few times. In 2003, he was almost kicked out of a game for taking his argumentative attitude to the court during a playoff game. The king of Oscars. Currently, Nicholson has the record for most Oscar nominations of any male actor. At 12, only Meryl Streep has Jack beat. Nicholson has been nominated for at least one Oscar per decade since the 60s. He's taken home 3 Academy Awards. His first win was in 1975 for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. His next was in 1983 for his role in Terms of Endearment. His third Oscar win came in 97 for As Good as It Gets. Additionally, Nicholson has starred in a long laundry list of films that have been nominated for Best Picture. The Bad Boy Club. As we already alluded to with the Playboy Mansion tunnels, Nicholson's neighbors were all party animal bachelors with a raucous reputation. In addition to James Caan, Kirk Douglas, and Warren Beatty, he also lived next to Marlon Brando. This ragtag crew of Hollywood heavyweights all lived on Mulholland Drive, although the street was colloquially known as Bad Boy Drive at the time. They loved to live it up, party, and get themselves into trouble. Unfortunately, they also earned the reputation of being womanizers. Nicholson considered becoming an animator. When he moved to Hollywood in the mid-50s, he set out to become an actor, but for quite some time he couldn't find any work. He started weighing his options. If he couldn't be an actor right away, maybe there was another way for him to get his foot in the door. He applied to be an assistant to the animators at Hanna-Barbera and landed the job. After working there a while, they extended him the offer to work as a full-fledged animator. Nicholson considered it, but still desired to be an actor, so he turned down the job. Obviously now we know he made the best decision for his career path. But at the time, he was quite torn. It was unclear whether his acting dreams would pan out, and he was being offered a pretty incredible job. A year later, however, he made his acting debut, which just goes to show that patience pays off. He partied it up with Fidel Castro. Everyone knows Jack was one of the most notorious partiers in show business. Throughout the years, Nicholson has brushed shoulders, taken shots, and gotten down on the dance floor with a pretty impressive list of influential people. In 1998, however, he raised quite a few eyebrows when he vacationed in Cuba and partied with Fidel Castro. The two got real chummy and traveled around various spots throughout Cuba while smoking some of Cuba's finest cigars. Nicholson apparently was quite impressed by Castro and called him a genius, although it's pretty clear he was oblivious to the fact that the communist dictator gave him extra special treatment that the people of Cuba weren't privileged to. Nicholson was estranged from his son for years. When Nicholson wasn't on set of one of his 69 films, he very much appreciated the company of beautiful women. He fathered 5 children with 4 different ladies over the years. In 1970, Susan Anspach, Nicholson's girlfriend at the time, got pregnant and gave birth to a child named Caleb Goddard. Jack was convinced for many years he wasn't his father. He was certain that Anspach must have been sleeping around. In 1996, however, Nicholson and Caleb got together and smoothed things out. Jack now recognizes Caleb as his son, and the two are a part of each other's lives. Jack wrote and directed the Monkees movie. Long before Nicholson became a superstar, he did a lot of work behind the scenes in Hollywood. He wrote a couple of screenplays that ended up getting greenlit, such as The Trip in 1967 and Head in 1968. The latter film starred the band members of the Monkees, and Nicholson reportedly penned the script while he was high on various psychoactive and hallucinogenic substances. The movie was a major flop though, and panned by critics and fans alike. It's typically credited with destroying the Monkees' image and reputation. He's an impassioned art collector. A lot of celebs like to collect art, but few have collections that come close to Jack's. He's been an avid art collector for decades, and his gallery looks very much like a prestigious museum. He owns works by Picasso, Rodin, Warhol, and Fernando Botero. His entire collection is estimated to be worth north of $150 million. Jack's still upset he wasn't asked to play the Joker in The Dark Knight. In Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, Jack played one of his most applauded roles, the Joker. Among the cast members of that film, Nicholson was the highest paid and received top credit as well. Granted, everyone agreed his portrayal of the Joker was absolutely phenomenal. It would seem he was born to play that role, and for many years, no one else would even dare try. In 2007, though, Christopher Nolan began casting for The Dark Knight. When the late Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, Nicholson felt personally offended he hadn't been asked to play the role. Fans also outpoured their frustration for the decision, although many would retract their criticism when they saw Ledger's incredible performance. He turned down The Godfather. Nicholson has no shortage of phenomenal film credits under his belt, but he's also turned down roles in some of the most celebrated films in history. Francis Ford Coppola originally wanted Nicholson to play Michael Corleone before the part was given to Al Pacino. Nicholson felt like he wasn't a fit for the role of the Italian mafioso because of his Irish heritage. Jack was also considered for roles in The Graduate, Apocalypse Now, and Taxi Driver. Granted, even without starring in those films, he still managed to amass a net worth of more than $400 million. These days, Nicholson isn't doing much acting. It's not that he's retired, he's just picky and nothing in recent years has caught his eye. His last film was in 2010 when he played Charles in James L. Brooks's romantic comedy, How Do You Know? Nicholson, now 83, has mellowed out quite a bit in his old age, but he certainly still has his signature attitude and wit. What do you think his best film was? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or The Shining? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you show us a little support by tapping the like button and subscribing to our channel. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications so you can keep up with all of our latest videos.